Okay, I think we finally have it working. I don't know, man. So essentially, I think what has happened is... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know shit. I don't have no idea. All my shit is set up right, but I don't know. It did that last night as well, so I'm gonna work on that. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so let me update that link. Sure. I'm gonna have to leave that in the fucking story. Okay, that's fine. Man, try to be on my shit, and here we go. Can't believe it. Papa. Done. Link. Man, you're making me look like a real professional, huh? Alright, good morning, Shankly. How are you, my sweet? I'm so sorry, everybody, for the bullshit of the cameras. Again, don't know. They just... I'm assuming, if I had to guess, it has something to do with some updates on my laptop, which is just like, hot damn, man. I love. There's like really few ways to piss me off as much as pushing out an update that fucks up my shit. I'm echoing? Okay, well, let's see. Yep, that's because there are two mics. What the fuck is even that? I'm so sorry. Okay, that should be better. Okay, yep, that should be good. You're fine. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. So, today, we are gonna be working on the troll a little bit, and I'll probably talk about commissions as well, because I'm opening those up for the first time ever today, which is nerve-wracking as fuck, but also really exciting because it's something that I've always wanted to be able to do, and so many people have asked me for them, so I am excited to be able to do that finally. With that said, I will also show you all, as always, the latest gift from the Greeble. Greeblin, either you were echoing or that ever-increasing chance of a stroke finally became reality. Oh, my friend, it's not that time yet. Don't worry. It was just an echo. I did not have the audio, like, apparently, I don't know. But yeah, so this is one of the side chapels. There are two of them, and this is pretty fucking rad. So he's essentially got these little plates so you can choose what sits down there. I am right now, Greeblin is printing the top part, but I'm really excited about that. The chapel gets closer and closer to being done. I showed off these already, but just to show them together, this is the stairs and the gallery, and I'm really pumped about it. I don't know, they just get me so stoked. Such a big fucking cathedral, and so well dimensioned and whatnot, and what have you. Really excited about it. Okay, bucket troll. We were working on that old bucket troll yesterday on the stream last night, because I did not solo Merkborg. People in my suite, you're doing it. 19 hours to go. Greeblin's over here just like, man, I remember the good old days when I only ever had like, 3-hour jobs. And now it's just nothing but 21+ hour jobs. So yeah. Okay, so this goofball. As of last night, I added the bucket. He needed a bucket. I'm a fan of the bucket. I am pro bucket. Probably going to be adding, not probably, we are. We're going to add a bunch of rope around there so you can hold it. And we'll probably, I don't know, I probably will leave the rest of that metal kind of exposed, but it'll get real crusty and whatnot. Same thing with the bucket. Same thing with the old bucket. In fact, I might start just by putting some extra styrene around there. So as far as commissions, I think I'm going to go with a, my structure is a little different than a few other people because I definitely don't have the same kind of workflow as other people. But I think the way that I'm handling it is pretty much just like by day, like, okay, this will be a day's work, because it's really hard to take the kind of model making that I do and break it down to the parts and the materials are not the most expensive part. So unless someone is wanting specifically, like, I want you to take this model and convert it, most of the stuff I have so much shit. So, and I often mix and interchange, but again, just because long before I start painting, there's already 20+ materials, not 20, but it's in the double digits. I mean, probably closer to 12, 15, before I ever start painting. And then I add more texture while painting. And sometimes I start painting in the middle, and then add later on. So it's a weird kind of process, and I don't know anyone else who's like, that's how they just build models. So I think that's pretty much how it's going to be a by day, like, and to give an expression of that, that was almost really bad. I almost just dumped 3 big things of Brita filter stuff that I have painstakingly sorted by size. That would have been a horrible experience for all of us. I'm really glad that didn't happen. But yeah, to give an example, this would be, and when I say days, so in the world of the Grimdark Distillery, a day is like 5 hours, because that's how many hours I have to essentially work on stuff unimpeded every morning, after the hobby hang, and before my wife gets home. So essentially, I will be renting out my brain for a day, and all the things that entails, or 2, or however many days that, whatever someone is wanting to have done. As far as things like the child and the walker, I've definitely already said, yeah, I'm not making anything like that. I don't have time personally to do anything like that. Those things are both like multiple weeks long, if not month. And that includes trial and error, figuring out how the hell to make the thing stand on its own weight. Because again, that's something that has to be factored in with that kind of stuff. So I'm still not sure if I'm like completely underselling or overselling. But yeah, I have like a set idea in mind for how long will it take me to make things. This is about a 2 days worth. It's about 10 hours. 10 hours with what I had available. So like, that's not factoring in the previous conversion work I did. However, that bit that was already converted was already in my thing. So like, I'm not charging for stuff I've already done in the past. That is being redone. But pretty much I'm looking at, I think, $150 for a day. That's like $30 an hour. And then mats. As far as mats, it's pretty much just a flat price, unless it is a bigger thing, but for like a basic model, like 20 bucks, because that's about, I'm not going to nickel and dime people. Because honestly, the whole thing is I want to make what I love able to be something that I can support myself with, while also trying to keep going with the distillery, and getting that made and like finished. Not made and finished, but made and off the ground. So yeah, pretty much that's pretty much, yeah, 150 a day. To get to about this point, that'd be about 2 days. About 10 hours on each. Now, depending on if I'm doing multiple models for someone at the same time, I will work on them simultaneously. So that actually might end up being less, and I'd have to go from there. But because typically, yeah, just talking to everybody who was very, very, very helpful. It was very much what they all said very similar things, and they all gave me very, very good feedback, and each one of them told me different aspects that I definitely need to keep in mind. All of them were definitely very, very firm on don't sell yourself short. And I might be selling myself a little short, but at the same time, I also genuinely really enjoy what I do. So I think valuing my time for what I bring, because again, I don't know anyone else who makes things the way that I make them. I'd love to meet them if there is. But yeah, that's it. So each thing that I make is literally like a one-of-a-kind piece. So there's that. But I don't know how to factor that in. So it's more of just well, how much is my time? Time is the most valuable thing. And how much would I sell my time for? Coming up with an average price of that. I was like, okay, 30 bucks an hour. Which is a little high, but at the same time, it's just like, no one else does what I do. So I'm just trying to keep that in mind. And obviously the price will probably shift. And I'm very much not looking forward to, I just got back from a call. I want to hear the theme again when you can. The vibe is markedly different right now than it was, LOL. Okay, well, yeah, I can do the theme again. Oh, hello, my sweets. Oh, won't you come with me? There's also much to show in this grimdark distillery. So if you want bullshit or want some hobby tips, this nightmare priest nigh unbinary hell world magnificent welcomes you. Hello, my sweets. So yeah, that's pretty much where I am thinking on commission work. We need to get that mastered. Yeah, I honestly, I probably should. It would not take very long to record it. But yeah, so as of right now, I'm getting ready to start working on this troll. Been putting a lot of nails in him. He likes it. I just can't stop thinking about this guy lumbering around the dying world, just going, "Fix me, somebody please." And that's really disturbing, and I liked that a lot. Alrighty. Not on his neck. We're probably going to go... So some of these are long as hell, and others I had to cut to make fit because there's just not enough meat. And then some of them I just literally hammered in. So there's that. Oh, he's skinny legs. Oh, skinny legs, yeah. He's got some nice long skinny legs. And there's a little hair in his bucket. I'll get that out. We don't need no hair in there. But yeah, I'm pretty excited where he's going so far. Lots of nails are going to be in there. A whole bunch of growths, tumor-like growths. Yeah, he's good. So, where did my beets go? We're gonna have to grab a little thing of tweezers. Where did my little tweezers go? There they are. So these guys are magnetized, and I hate it. It absolutely has been frustrating trying to pick things up and then just getting stuck, and then they won't get unstuck. And the funny thing is, I can find stuff to like magnetize things. Oh boy, trying to non-magnetize things. Apparently, I'm the only one who wants that. That actually is a pretty good little spot for a big bump. Except it's right in between all those nails. So we're gonna go over just a little bit. Right about there. Yeah. I like that. So I'm still working on getting access to my 1490 stuff. And as soon as I do, I'm gonna start working on printing the castle so I can start working on like some legit like 1490 boards using their stuff, which will probably be, not probably, it will definitely be used on solo plays, because I want to play through that very much. But knowing that my board is a set board, I'm not able to play through the campaign of Rothenburg, the Fall of Rothenburg. There we go. I've got to get more zip kicker today. You know what? Maybe I don't. Maybe I just need to quit being a big old baby and I should learn how to use this shit. It just does not, it doesn't work the same. And I don't really understand why. Maybe it just takes longer. It says insta set. Now if insta you mean like eventually, yeah, it does insta set. It's set. So maybe I'm just, I don't know, maybe I'm impatient and I expect my super glue accelerators to just activate just instant. But so for those of you who enjoy Merkborg, Kelly and I were working on the chart last night. One of the things, honestly, so I previewed the intro mission adventure, the Tunnels of Sin, which that is where Wretched starts. For, you know, if you're playing it solo or if you're playing with a PC, once you encounter Krator, he leads you to the Temple of Sin. Spoiler alert, he's got intentions. Like, he's not just like, ah, hey, we gotta go there. He is a priest of the Child Inverted. So there's that, which matches up very well with the description of the heretical priest. They're worshippers of forbidden, exiled gods. They're the kind of guy and gal that the Inquisition of the Two-Headed Basilisks just really want to get their hands on. Oh boy. So, the very first artifact, and that is the whole concept of Wretched, is it's all themed around the deity that I have made, and putting that and the other little monstrosities that go along with it into the dying world of Merkborg. So there's a lot of lore that will be included in there as far as fleshing out the Child Inverted, what kind of god it is, those kinds of things. But the overall arcing theme of the whole thing is collecting artifacts, cursed items, and giving them to the Inquisition of the Two-Headed Basilisks as gifts, but they are far from gifts. They are all curses. Gifts from a mad trickster god. Literally, the spite made manifest is what the Child Inverted is, which kind of has to do with its name. Wrongness. The inverted in Child Inverted is not so much that the kid comes out inverted, like it's upside down. It's more of a metaphorical, like in a tarot card sense. And that is where the initial idea of the name came from. When I was working on the Walker and working on concepts for the Visterion event. As far as what kind of impact these cults all over this planet would have. Tarot was something that I used, but also I used it heavily while kind of fleshing out what was going on with the Visterion. I use tarot cards a lot for game design. They're very, very, very good for getting the brain meat working. Oh, Greeblin. So yeah, such good skinny legs. He's just a little skinny leg boy. All right, skinny legs. But yeah, as far as commissions and how that will be handled, I'm probably gonna say email, because I already get enough anxiety when I open my Instagram due to the sheer amount of messages and stuff. It's just like, oh my gosh. So I'm thinking if I can at least keep it in an easier to keep organized place, like an email, that'll be the way I go about doing it. Yeah, just like that. What a good bucket. What a good bucket, boy. So I did play around a little bit this morning with putting different things in the bucket that are going to be hanging out. So these hands are pretty fun. I like those a lot. Just some real good creepy hands hanging out of his bucket, just dragging them along. But before I get there, we got all kinds of more nails to put in this bad boy. He loves nails. You can't fix them if you don't nail the things back where they go, and that's key. So, right there. Don't make me get the hammer. And by that I mean Daryl Isaacs. Shout out to Daryl Isaacs. He is an attorney at law that has some of the most buck wild commercials I've ever seen in my entire life. And if you doubt that, it is worth your time, I promise, to YouTube them. The shit that he played like a couple years ago for his Super Bowl commercial was some of the craziest shit you will ever see in a like an attorney commercial. Like, I shit you not, this crazy guy is on top of a fucking skyscraper, and he's just like, there's kaiju attacking the city, and he jumps off the skyscraper, and then yeah, Daryl Isaacs, like the hammer, is the hammer. So he jumps off the skyscraper and he's like free falling towards like the streets, and all of a sudden this big fucking robot flies up and he gets inside of it and he's all sinking in with it, and then this giant hammer falls out of the sky, and then it's just a commercial about him fighting fucking kaiju. Like, I love it. That's great. That is great. That's a great commercial right there. If you want me to think about somebody when I like need an attorney, whoo boy, I'm gonna be like, I need that guy that fucking will jump off a skyscraper and then a giant robot shows up and then he gets in and he fights kaiju. Of course I want him. Why would I pick anyone else? Yeah, I think so. An attorney at law, Daryl Isaacs, the hammer, attorney at law. I might have, that might be, let's see. If you look up Super Bowl hammer, Super Bowl Daryl Isaacs. Yeah, oh shit, yeah, it's already, yeah, Daryl Isaacs Super Bowl commercial. It's from 2020. No, it's 2022. Well, I found a link to it on Facebook, but I don't have Facebook, so that's, if you see someone on Facebook that says it's me, it's not me. Yeah, that was a throwback. God, this is the craziest shit. This dude, yeah, no, this dude. Oh, okay. Yeah, I want the guy who thinks outside the box like that. Yeah, it's bonkers. And I can't stress, I'm not saying that he's a good attorney. I have no idea about that. With a name like the Hammer, I assume that if you give yourself a title like that, like, I don't know, you got like a certain kind of like law that you do. I don't know. I don't know enough about that. If I called myself the Hammer, though, I tell you, I'd fucking be hitting everything with this thing. Which this is the first today. This is the first guy I've ever had to use a hammer on, which testament to how durable this shit is. I had to hammer a lot of these nails in. They look good. They look like they were hammered in. Is it going to fix me? Maybe. Okay. Yeah, man, I like those nails. Let's see. Where else are you going to have nails, my friend? We're definitely around your wrist. So we want to grab some more of these little nails. And these are... oh boy, what kind of nails are these? So this is pretty much where I keep all of my little itty bitty nails. Oh wow, these are beautifully janked. The commercials. Oh, he needs to sell "I Am the Hammer" way better. He basically whispers it. Yeah, it's bananas. Like the choices of what to make go hard and what to like hold back on. It's just like, dude, you just jumped off a fucking building to go fight kaiju, and now you're in a big robot. Why are you whispering, "I'm the hammer"? Like, he hands a family a paper labeled "big check." It's wild. I can't stress enough that man knows how to target to me. Which also I realized that my calling in life, I was just born on the wrong side of the planet. My hometown sister city actually is in Japan, and that's clearly where I was supposed to be, because I think it took seeing my new favorite Japanese prank, which is a vomiting bear. It is a giant stuffed bear that just it just grabs this man, and there's like a hose hooked up to it, and it just like sprays essentially like Nickelodeon slime out of its like mouth all over this man's face, and it just doesn't stop. It just keeps doing it, and then eventually it stops, and he's so upset, and then it starts again. I'm just like, someone got paid to come up with that idea. How do I get paid to come up with just insane things that pop into my head unwillingly? You know? Because I'd love that. Yeah. So that's definitely not going to take a hammer. Oh. Whoop. Gangnam Style. I know you all were waiting for it, so there you go. I feel like I've seen his commercials. Yes, no, he's been making commercials, and we have been blessed. Sam, that's a thing. We often do not think about, like, oh, hey, what are the benefits of living in, like, you know, rural America where we live? It's just like, there's not many. I got to tell you that. We get to see a lot of real dumb shit. However, we also get Daryl Isaacs. And that's good. It's kind of like, he's kind of like the benefit of living here, whereas like Tony Melito, that was one of the first things that Greg said to me when he got to the B&B when they came down for my birthday, at my birthday party, at a birthday gift. But he was just like, man, have you ever heard about this guy called Tony Melito? And I was like, oh, Greg. He goes, I tell you what, I don't ever want to hear that man's voice again. And it's just like, oh yeah, man. Woo! Tony Melito, dealer for the people. Every commercial that man makes is like, it just makes your ears bleed. He just screams and makes lots of woots. And Bob Swope. Now see, I don't know. I don't think I remember any Bob Swope, but yeah, Kelly and I, when we were at the theater the other day, every time we go, and it's just like, I see the sign where it's like, you know, pay to put your ad here. I had a customer tell me a story about how she was saved by Bob Swope the other day. Saved? Like, I hope that they mean it in like a religious standpoint, but also I kind of hope that they mean physically. Oh, Bob Swope is like our royalty. He owns all the cars. I mean, that is true. That dude does own like every car lot in town. Which, man, oh man, I might go grab that in case, if you guys have any interest in hearing about the horrible like adventure quests that the child inverted beseeches on you. So essentially, the way that it works, the mechanic, once you get the thrice damned tongue of Bagaru, who is a hated and reviled prophet of a long-lost cult to an outcast god, aka child and virgin. Like, he showed up and saved her from someone who kidnapped her and her dog. It was not a true story, but it was her story. That's good. Like, so, okay, I was about to say something. I was like, actually, I don't want that. But at the same time, maybe I do. I was like, I want someone to, like, say stories like that about me. Like, oh, yeah, no, one time, Eli, RedWetSkeleton, he showed up and he saved me from blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, that didn't happen. We all know that didn't happen. What are you talking about? But I would like to have that kind of impact on people. Now, I don't know if I would like for a car salesman to have that kind of impact on people. But like, man, I love that car salesman so much after he sold me that car that I got to profess I'm an evangelical car buyer, car owner. That is gonna need some super glue, my sweets. Alrighty, so grab another nail, put another nail in this boy. Tyler, I mean, I guess it could be true. I just don't believe it. I'll tell lies about you to other people if you want. So that is what I was afraid of. I was thinking to myself, man, that sounds like something fun. And I'm like, I don't know, actually. I don't know if I really want people out there telling stories that are, I know out the gate, not true. Like, oh yeah, we've been spreading all kind of misinformation about you, dude. You're gonna love it. It reminds me very much of when you applied for that one job with Jason, and I was like, oh yeah, no, I talked it over with him. I was like, yeah, no, he's a great dude. Any allegations, anything, suspicious that you've heard is just allegations. I don't believe a word of it. And then just the sheer horror of like, oh my God, you didn't say that. And just like, no, of course not. That is what you would say to somebody like, oh yeah, no, he's my friend, man. I gotta tell you though, he's a good guy. Don't believe anything that. Okay, I'll put that project on the back burner. So yeah, and that's kind of what it kind of plays in very much with. I mean, I love the idea. I can't stress that enough. The idea is not bad. It's a great idea. Anything you heard about this guy and his kids? Not true. I don't believe it. Yeah, that there is just. I loved after I said the same thing to Jared, and just the look of fear on his face was just so delicious. Because it was just like, I don't know if this is a joke. Did you really tell him that? And of course, then I just start laughing hysterically because it's just like, no, I'm not a psychopath. Why would I do that? I gotta fix me. I don't know if the mic picked that up, but that thing popped up, hit the ceiling, and then fell back down here. And I'm never going to find it. My foot might, and I'm not looking forward to that if I'm being honest, my sweets. I don't remember. I know that I was talking about, oh, hey, these are the kind of little nails that I use. But I don't think I ever said what kind they are. And that might be because I looked at them and I thought, well, I don't fucking know. These I know are some kind of drywall, I want to say, nail. I bought those specifically for the thing I made for Tim, which has those in its hands. These are the ones I typically use for nails. This would be like what the champion to my Visterion. Actually, let me grab him. I don't know if he's got those or he might have different size nails. Oh boy, where are my toys? Give me all my toys. They're in here. Yeah, so somewhere, I'm guessing an Adepticon, is the head to one of these, and that's disappointing. For me, like, but definitely lost a head to one of my assassins from Phaeton, so he's eventually going to need a head. But it's definitely not on the list of things really, really urgent. But this guy, what kind of nails you got? think it's these. Nope. Eh. Yeah. Yeah, it's these. It's these, but the tops have been removed. I love this model. Let me focus this thing so you can actually see them. But yeah, that's one of my favorites for sure. Definitely could have done more detail, but the detail that was done, I'm happy with. It's got a little scuff on his back. Same thing with here. Same nails for the skulls and the purity seals. But yeah, this, I don't know if I've ever really shown or gone into detail on these guys, so I'll do that for real quick. I don't think I have. I don't think I've ever shown these guys on the stream. So yeah, this, I'm gonna have to father, I want to say maybe even Abdabel. I'm not gonna remember his name off the top of my head. But essentially, this character is very much inspired by our Dark Heresy games. There is so much Margot hair. It's everywhere. Which also, yeah, anybody, it's just like, yep. If you're going to have me make you anything, there will probably be some cat hair on it, and of course, Margot hair is about as finite of a resource as I have, so I will need you to nail that back if it's a problem. The hair, that is. But yeah, so I'm really happy with how he turned out. I really like the black. It's very, very stark. And that, this is pretty much where I started using Chinese ink very heavily in a lot of my work. Yeah, I'm really happy with how he turned out. But essentially, this is and it's a similar concept. The child inverted in any setting. Its priests are typically mischievous, awful little gerblins that seek to undermine. This guy in particular, the reason that he's covered in rags and has the mask, one of the common ways of execution on Visterion for a number of different faiths is taking them down to the sulfur pits, essentially like a large sulfuric lake. And when the tide rolls in, it just sears everything to the bone. So on one morning, the wonderful congregation, which some of them are still here, and their faithful champion make their way down to the shore, where they find a heretic who is not dead. It turns out he survived the trial. So what do you do when someone survives the trial to prove that they were right? Well, he did what anyone would do, and he took that big hammer and he bashed the priests that clearly were false priests, and then immediately ordered them to get down their new prophet. He looks very real and in motion, though a swamp sludge. Great details and colors. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I love these models. I'm very happy with them. Very, very, very pleased. Some of my favorites, really. And then the gore on these is some of my best, I think. This guy's eyes in particular are just fucking stupid. They look so good. And that, if I'm honest, I think it was probably a happy accident. But he has a very manic, insane look to him. Both of them do. But as far as painting, I don't... Painting is one of those things that it really finishes off the models. And this is a couple years back, but this is first Ink 28 event versus, Visterion. These little rowdies. Yeah, and also this was around the time that I was messing with painting gore. Painting gore in a realistic manner. Yeah. It's hard. It's really hard to pick a favorite. This one, though, is absolutely a homage to The last campaign that we played with our Dark Heresy group was on a planet called Abripso, and it was one of the worst places that you could ever go. So Abripso is in the sector, the Totrata sector. Essentially, half of it, oh, a little bit of his hat broke. Half of it was snatched up. Thank you, buddy. Oh, there is so much Margot hair in here. It's just been hanging out in my cabinet. But yeah, all of these are the cloaks, with the exception of that. Some of that is, but most of these, it's all when I was first starting to really use alternate like mediums. Middle is my favorite of the three from a glance. Yeah, no, I love the backpacks, which the backpacks are all handmade, just bent wire pouches pulled, then wrapped. I think that's all of that crew. Yeah, yeah, they're definitely my favorite little group that I've made and finished. I will say that I've definitely got a whole bunch of my Emperor's Children are like some of my best work, but they do not have paint on them, and it will be a hot minute before they get paint because I'm not going to be working on 30K stuff for a bit. Eventually, though, we will. I have complete plans to finish the campaign that I was working through with Ed. And here's Brigar. So this is where I think people first started to know my style was with this piece, which is actually Sam, just papers. His character from Black Crusade. This is my Lord of Plagues conversion, and by that, that's his tummy. That's the tummy from the Lord of Plagues. And then the rest of that model is in shit. Where did? Oh no, not your kitty ears. Thank goodness. Don't want to push those down. That's my boy. Yeah, I love Brigar. He can survive anything. That is his superpower, is being able to survive anything, and wishing that he didn't. But yeah, no, I still love this model so much. It was so much fun. This is back. I'm trying to think of when this would have been, but I mean, it was long before Primaris. So this was like one of the first like true scale Plague Marines that our community put out. And I'm proud of that. Put a lot of time and work into him, making sure that he was exactly what I wanted him to be. Yeah, and his giant man reaper. I love that big old cleaver. All his friends are dead. Yeah, all of his friends are dead. That's a good story, pretty much, to go along with damn near every game we've had. What I was saying about Abripso sucks. It's one of the worst places you could ever be. It is 100% influenced by Passchendaele. I don't know if I ever told Sam that, or the rest of my like gaming group, but that's where the idea of Passchendaele came from. Some of the single most fucked up, horrifying things that I've ever read, ever, are accounts of the Third Battle of Ypres. That is like literally, if you're like, okay, you got to go back in time. You can only pick like 3 places that you don't want to be more than anywhere. And you won't go there, but you might end up somewhere else horrible. The number one's like, okay, I don't want to be the Third Battle of Ypres. Anywhere near there. Because that is the scariest shit I've ever read. And it honestly, it pervades into a lot of my horror storytelling. But one of the most disturbing accounts is seriously just talking about coming across someone, and the reason that this place is so fucking horrifying. They experienced a 100-year flood, like rain. Like they had more rain in like a time period than they had in 100 years. Like it never rained that much. And the earth, whenever it rains that much in a specific place, I almost took a sip of this. Whenever it rains that much in the same place, obviously the earth can't take all of that water in. Well, what if you've also been trying to turn the planet into you're just trying to make it look more like the moon by unloading millions of artillery shells a day. So now the ground is just so blown up and torn open that it no longer even has the ground itself doesn't have the ability to retain the water, so the entire place becomes a quagmire. Um, and it is just, there are a few things as horrifying as thinking about getting stuck in the mud up to your like midway up your calf, and knowing that you cannot get out and that you're slowly going to sink in over the like a couple of days. And if anyone tries to help get you out, they will also be stuck. And the whole time, rats are swarming you and biting at you and trying to eat you while you're alive. It's just the worst place I can imagine. Again, the accounts, like the firsthand accounts of people like talking about stuff that went down, like just that, not like, oh man, I saw this guy get shot and it was real messed up. It's like, no, it was like the earth eating people. And that is so utterly horrifying to me. And that is where the planet Abripso came into my mind. The idea is it is a cardinal world that was picked up mid terraform by the ecclesiarchy. So the cult of the emperor shows up on this planet. It is halfway through being terraformed by Phaeton's priesthood. Why were they trying to make it look like the moon? Oh, they weren't trying to. It was more of just a joke. It was a dark joke. If you look at photography from the time period, I would say I can show you a picture, but I'd have to look for it. I have a bunch. And that's the other, like my board for Visterion, the big mud board, we called it. It's based on Ypres. Oh, lol, my bad. The rest of that is a nightmare, but I just got hung up on the idea of people that aren't orcs wanting that. Yeah, no, they didn't want to make it look like the moon. It was just when you look at photography of places, and in Passchendaele, if you look up Passchendaele before or after, the first image that you will hit on Google is the image I'm talking about. It's an aerial view, and it shows a city, and then the next thing it shows what used to be a city, but it looks a lot more like if you moved the city to the moon and weren't done building it. It's really disturbing, like just the scale of just insanity. And that has always been, first and foremost, where my biggest like thoughts of like 40K and like the scale and the sense of it. It's just for so many people it seems comical because it's like it is black comedy at its best. The scale of war in 40K is so horrendous that it's unfathomable. However, if you look into a lot of stuff about World War One and keep in mind the technological period that we were in, it's not. Like the first day of the Somme, over 1 million artillery shells were fired. The first day. Like it's crazy. Like so many people also don't know about the Zone Rouge in France, which is, I would not know. Yeah, this isn't fiction. Yeah, like it's nuts. Like how insane the devastation of World War One was for our planet. But France still has a huge section called the Zone Rouge. It has gotten smaller, but it's been over a century. And it's been a century of every year there is a fleet of people that go out and they do the Iron Harvest. That's where the name for that game comes from. It's called the Iron Harvest. And there is a whole fleet of people that go out and find unexploded shells. But the reason that it's called the Zone Rouge is because the sheer amount of metal, not chemicals, not just the amount of metal that we put into the ground from firing artillery, you cannot live there. It's not safe to live there. Like the earth has taken a wound that is like slowly healing. But even if you look at like the map of like the Zone Rouge, what it used to be versus like the Zone Jaune now, it's really disturbing. And that's always been the first thing that I attribute 40K and its horror to is the First World War, because it's just madness. It's just madness with no real purpose. I'm sorry, I'm yapping about World War One, which that's, man. If at the moment we get to Trench Crusade, my sweets, that is going to be, prepare to be grandpa'd, as my wife will call it. Now that one went over there somewhere. I might be able to find that one. But yeah, that was on our honeymoon, one of my absolute favorite times, and that this is like life for sure. This is I'm so glad to have had this experience. But I mentioned them the other day, Simon and Remy were a Frenchman and a British guy. We met in at Beavertown, the bar. It's a brewery. It's a brewery owned by Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin's son. We only got to have like a beer because the whole place, that whole country, like closes at like 8 o'clock. But we got there and we had like one beer and we were like, oh man, hopefully we can get a tour. And they're like, we're gonna close in like 15 minutes. And we're like, okay, never mind. So then, wandering out into the parking lot, and being a goofball like I was like, they were like, you can't go home, but you can't stay here. And I was like, good thing I brought my tent. And then Remy was just like, oh, I can't remember what he said. He said something, and that's how we got to talking. But he was the first one that did not, when he asked where, I was like, oh, Kentucky, I've been there a week at this point. I was like, like the Derby, Kentucky Fried Chicken, because that's when you tell people in England that is where you're from. That's the first thing. The first thing I thought would have been Kentucky Fried Chicken, which I'm very glad that it's not. It was the Derby, because I forgot that they're all about horse racing, isn't it? Isn't they? But yeah. After that, though, it was KFC, because that's one of like the first, like, I think, Americanized fast food restaurants that they got. Also, they had this thing called the Chicken Legend at McDonald's, and a good little bit that my roommate and I had at the time, my former roommate, he no longer lived with me whenever we were there, but anywho, he was like, man, you got to bring me back one of those Chicken Legends. And I was just like, the Chicken Legend is like a McChicken if it was like long. It's like a long McChicken. It's where I put the bases up already, but it's like, yeah, it's like a 120 millimeter base oval, like chicken, McChicken, and McChicken. He was just like, dude, you got to bring me one of those McChickens back. And I was just thinking about, how do I do that? And the best idea that I had was to like strap it to my chest, because you got to get through customs. And I already knew that for some reason, my wife and I just scream terrorists. Like we look like terrorists, I guess, because we get flagged every time. Kelly was so not having it when we were leaving, because she had fought to get her suitcase closed. And she was like, if this guy makes me open my suitcase and pull out all of my stuff, I'm not going to be clean and neat about it. She was like, if he wants to see the mess, he'll see it. That's fine. And he's going to be like, man, we wasted a lot of time here, huh? It's like, yep, we sure did. But yeah, they definitely were just like, I don't know, I don't trust these two kids. I think they're up to no good. But yeah, so the idea of trying to get through customs with a chicken sandwich taped to my chest is very, very funny. And I don't know what they would do. Probably nothing good. But which, speaking of other crazy shit, while we were there, we were actually in the Natural History Museum when what they thought was a terrorist attack happened, but it was actually somebody had, I believe, a heart attack, and like rode up on the sidewalk. But the entire time that it happened, we were in the museum, and I guess it just coincided around right before we were like, okay, time to leave. And we're on our way out, and they're like, okay, you got to go out this other door. And we're like, oh, that's weird. We were here yesterday. We didn't have to go out that door then. And then we go out, and the street's completely empty, which is really weird because it's like right in London. So you're like, where are all the people? They're just gone. And yeah, that's when we started to notice all the barricades, and then the vans of dudes like wearing, I guess, whatever the British equivalent of, like, I would assume like SAS, but like super spec op, like anti-terrorist dudes, like pull up and hop out with all these like bullpup, like crazy guns. Like I've never seen these in like real life. It's like some real intense shit. I was like, what the fuck fuck is happening? And all the metros were closed, like all the undergrounds were closed, like. And that's later when we like walked back. We were like, oh shit, there might have been a terrorist attack while we were like in the museum looking at Darwin's bird collection. That's messed up. And then it turns out, nope, it wasn't. Man, I'm never gonna find that. Well, I will, but not today. Not today, Satan. Wait, is that it? No. False alarm. It's just the other half. Is this? Found a little piece of music wire. I was using that to make arrows. That's an arrow. But yeah, no, once we get to Trench Crusade, hoo boy, I pity the fool that is just like, I don't want to hear about World War One, because you're gonna hear about it. Where I was going with that, the night pretty much ended with us hanging out with these dudes, and I just remember a very distinct part. We had left this one bar, and Kelly and Simon are talking about The Office and some other TV shows, and the difference between like the American versions and the British versions. And then you like look over at like Remy and my conversation, and we are both just so serious and having the most intense and like intimate conversation I've ever had with someone about World War One. It was gnarly. It was so wild. But he grew up in a town, and I just saw that someone started following me that also was from there. He grew up in a town called Lille, which is now in the Zone Jaune. However, it was in like the Zone Rouge. And I'd never, it's wild. Like, as much as I know about World War One, until that point, I had never even heard of that. So it was wonderful getting to hear about that from someone who literally lived in that area. And he was like, oh yeah, you know, when I was a kid, my parents, they would, you know, they'd give me an allowance, and they'd say, you know, go build a pond, or, you know, go dig a pond in the backyard. And I would go out there and I'm digging, and he was like, and while I'm digging, you know, I'd find barbed wire, I'd find shell casings, I'd find all kinds of, just the things that he found in his backyard while digging a pond is just crazy. And it definitely just made the whole situation so much more like realistic, from like a meeting someone that like is still being impacted by that thing 100 years later. It's wild. And I don't even know about it, despite the fact that it's like one of the most interesting topics that I have spent thousands of hours like reading about, like consuming everything I could, because it's absolutely a fixation of mine. Just because it's, I don't know, it's a very unique time. It's a very, 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 very unique time. Until essentially the internet, it was the single like biggest scientific like development period in our species history. It's where so much medication, it's where so much of our stuff today, like the foundational kind of stuff, came from there. It's where the concept of tanks, I mean, we rode in on horses and left in tanks, which did not exist. They were actually called land ships. Yeah, at some point I need to go to Australia, because I know they have one of the last surviving A7Vs, which is I love the design. They are so goofy, but they're that really like hexagon shaped German tank that just looked like just kind of trotted along. But the Imperial War Museum in London, if you ever find yourself in London, I cannot stress enough, that's the number one place that I want you to go, period. And you want to hang out on, I think it's the first floor. I spent so much time on the first floor, which is just World War One. Hours looking at every little thing. So much stuff to just take in. And then there is an amazing section that is built to be, it's built to really make you feel like you're walking in a trench. Obviously it's molded and stuff, but it's not as dirty as it should be. Obviously they couldn't do that, but it's still a very nice trench setup. And they play with audio and lighting. And so when you're walking through these trenches, there's a Mark IV, I want to say it's a Mark IV land ship, going up over top of the trench so you can actually see, like, oh shit, this is what it would be like having one of these giant fucking gods of war at the time going over top of you. And nothing like this existed at the time. I can't imagine. And that's what they were used for. So they were used at the Somme. A non-stop artillery barrage on the first day, like the million plus shells. Let me look. I'm going to give you the exact number. First day of the Somme. How many shells? First day of Somme. 1.5. 1.5 million shells were fired from Britain. Yeah, the British fired 1.5 million shells. Many were shrapnel, which threw out steel balls when they exploded. These were devastating against troops in the open, but largely ineffective against concrete dugouts. So, after an entire day of nonstop, and that is a, like, we're also talking about like the shelling and artillery barrages in World War I. That's just like normal. So like kicking it up to like, yep, today we're doing a 1.5 million, just nonstop is like, I'm sure it was just like the end of the world. And then if you somehow survive that with even a scrap of your sanity, you get to look up to see a fleet of iron machines that you have never seen anything even remotely like that coming for you. Good morning. Speaking of a wonderful Frenchman, how are you, my friend? I'm on a World War I tangent. I got to talking about the Somme. And then I was talking about my friend Remy, who I met on my honeymoon. And he told me all about the Zone Rouge, which I had never heard about, despite my massive interest in World War I history and everything else. It was very, 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 very wonderful. Oh yeah, Somme, fun time. Yeah, fun time. I don't think the Somme was fun for anyone. So yeah, fun time. But yeah, the guy that I met lived in Lille, which is I'd never heard of, but he was like, yeah, we're in the Zone Rouge, but now it's the Zone Jaune, and I was like, I don't even know what the Zone Rouge was. So then he got to explain that to me, and I was like, how have I never heard about this? But really, really wild. There's just so much. World War I is just like, if you're like, hey, I want some inspiration for 40K stuff, that's where I get most of mine, because it's the perfect combination of monstrous human ingenuity and madness and a not understanding or a very rough fundamental technological standpoint. Like, because that's really, it's the stuff that they invented, like my favorite, and this is my favorite because it's utterly horrifying, but it's one of the craziest things I've ever heard. Lille is a great town. If I move back to France, it's a high up. Nice. No, I believe it's like a riverside town, from what he was telling me, and like what I've seen on maps. But no, wonderful. Bucket Troll, he's doing good. He's got lots of nails. He likes nails. He's just trying to put himself back together any way that he can. Says, Tyler, help me. Is that good? Yeah, that's good. But yeah, and then started talking about how many shells were fired on the Somme, talking about how crazy over the top it was. And then I started ranting about World War I. Yeah, the Livens projector, that's what it was. The Livens projector is, seriously, it's just like, yep, there's no other way to put it other than like, yeah, there were just mad scientists. They were just mad scientists just doing whatever the hell they wanted. And they were like, give them the money, let's make it. And it is a flamethrower that was capable of like spraying flames like all like half the length of a football field. Like it's just crazy. And they essentially had to make a entire like dugout or trench leading to it that had all of the, or did a nail fall out? I think it did. Man, I knew it. Yep. Where'd you go? Oh well, we'll move on to the next one. But yeah, this thing just sprays flames, and you can find a video on YouTube of like a functioning, like I think there's only one still that functions, and these two historians go and they see it like activated, and there's this one, he's just this older British guy, and it's his face just sums up everything. But once it like lights, they're so far away, and he was just like, "Dear merciful God," and it's just, yeah, like it's just the scariest, craziest shit. Like that. Someone was just like, "I got an idea. What if we made just a giant flamethrower?" And it's just like, well, that sounds insanely dangerous. It's like, yeah, but we'll dig like a tunnel, and we'll just put thousands and thousands of gallons of fuel underneath, and just hope that no one fires an artillery shell there, because, oh boy, that won't be good. When Ben put up tanks, I went down a rabbit hole about how tanks were created, and it was so quick. Basically, in a year and a half, 2 years, it went from not even being an idea to roaming land. Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, anyone that does not like respect the impact that like World War I had on our planet, like, yeah, fundamental. I'm just like, I don't think you know much about World War I, my friend, because yeah, the idea, even the name tank, like, and it is so easy to fall down a rabbit hole the moment you start reading, because you're just like, wait, what? Like, again, it happened so quick. It was just like overnight we were like, we got to get as fucked up as quick as possible, and that's literally what the plan was. Like, and that is so crazy that it's just like, yep. I don't know. The whole idea was, if we do something horrible enough, it'll end and it'll stop. And it's just like, that's not how trench warfare works, dog. Like, and then the fact that like the people that actually are making the decisions are not anywhere near what you're doing, they don't find out. But yeah, tanks, the idea of the tank, there's a term for it. And I cannot remember, but its name was a distraction. The word tank meant nothing. Like, it was just like a container or whatever. But if they called them what they were called, land ships, they were afraid that enemy intel would find out. But yeah, they were part of the Navy. Like, not like, again, like, there was no armored division, so it's just like the closest thing would have been cavalry. But again, it was just like the Navy was just like, how do we make a ship go on the land? Just bonkers. Just so much crazy stuff. One of the coolest things that they had at the Imperial War Museum is a tree. They have a tree that is not a tree. It is a fake tree. It is a tree that, and apparently they did this a lot. In the middle of the night, they would go out into no man's land, and they would cut down a tree, and then they would send it back to the boys back at a factory. To tree or not to tree? That is the question. I say tree. Let's do the tree. Good morning, Atri. Welcome. So yeah, they took this tree, and then they had like artists make a cast of this tree. So they made a fake tree, and this is all like, oh yeah, we're gonna take that tree. Okay. It's dark. Go out there, cut that tree down. We gotta get it down fast. Okay, make a cast, make a fake tree, quick. Now plant it. Like, I love that idea. That's a wonderful idea. But that is, again, so crazy. It's just like, that worked. It's like, yeah. They would cut down trees, build a fake tree, and a sniper would actually be in that tree, because it's not a real tree. It's like a hide that looks like it, because it's cast from it. It's just, but they have one of those at the Imperial War Museum. They also had Mother, which is a siege like howitzer that is named Mother. It has it written on it, which I did enjoy that. There's just something very horrifying about that. But knowing that it's just like that thing, that piece of machinery, like, has probably killed more people than I've ever met, is a really disturbing thing to think about. And that's not even like tapping into like the intimate shit of like that they've got there. Like, there's a whole collection And there is one piece particularly that I feel like absolutely one of the Trench Crusade uh, models is based on one of the weapons. Uh, but the whole case that has like trench weapons, like weapons that people made, like they're pretty much all just like jimmy rigged, thrown together kind of stuff. That is going to fly off if I don't grab it like that. Yep, it was close. We were going to have to drill a little hole. There is not much room in here to push with all the aluminum foil and the metal. But yeah, shit, I lost it. Shoot. Oh, the melee weapons. So yeah, there's a whole cabinet of just the most gnarly melee weapons I've ever seen in my life. And then they have quotes like next to them, like things that like people like said, commenting about them. But there's definitely one that it has to have been what James was looking at for like the sculpt, because it looks so much like this one. It's very clearly like a piece of metal that I think has a cog welded to it, and the quote next to it was, I want to say, a piece of pipe and cold hard steel, crack even the thickest of skulls, of square heads or something along those lines. But it's just like, Jesus Christ, that's intense. And there's another, and now I must face my fellow man, eye for an eye, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. It's just gnarly. There's just a lot of stuff there that it's just like, Jesus Christ, I can't imagine having to sit down and be like, I've got to make something to bludgeon someone else to death with, because if I don't, they're going to bludgeon me to death, while everything else is happening. But yeah, it's intense. And again, none of it's like, oh man, I love this stuff. It's more of just I'm fascinated by it, because it's just the whole thing. It's just like the entire world went insane for 4 years. And then, yeah, just all the things that it led to as far as history. Oh man. So yeah, it's always been something very, very fascinating. But I've always loved learning where ideas, concepts come from, and there are a few time periods I think that have birthed as many very, very key fundamental components of like our current like state as that time period. Just a lot of things, and again, that's just demand. It had to happen, like the evolution of technology and that kind of stuff. But yeah, we also use carrier like pigeons a lot, which are just nuts. Like, it's crazy being like, okay, we got to send a bird. Earlier I commented on top 3. Verdun is definitely on the list of places I don't want to be, and the Argonne. The Argonne Forest, Verdun, the Argonne, and Third Battle of Ypres. Those are my top 3. I'll take any other time period, I think. If you like are gonna blast me back in time, and I can only choose 3 places I don't want to be, I don't want to be there. They all sound like the scariest things I've ever heard of. Like hell made real and then somehow made worse. And then for those of you who do not know, the Argonne is a very, very, very large forest. And when the U.S. joined the war after dicking around for years, we thought we were doing great, and then we got to the Argonne, and shit got rough, real rough, because the Argonne is fucking horrifying on so many levels. It's just, if you are wondering, like, hey, where do like a lot of stories about like, you know, boogeymen and things that live in the dark, they come from forests like the Argonne. The amount of like stories like of people like, yep, there's a demon in the woods with us, there's ghosts, these woods are haunted, like that's The Argonne just sounds like the scariest woods I've ever been in, and then it's just like, oh, and also it's World War One. It's like, okay, that's how it gets worse. But yeah, a lot of gnarly stuff in World War One. A lot of wonderful things to use for awful ideas for games have come from my learning more and more about that. This guy is fun. He's all pins and needles. What can I say? That was my app about World War One. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Yeah, he's got to have pants. He's got to have more skin, that's for sure. But I'm thinking he needs, I'm going to grab my beads. He needs some more stuff there. We're not ready for you yet. No, not yet. Hold back, Eli. Where are my beads? There you are. Got a bunch of beads. Doo-doo-doo. Wow. Alrighty. So I think after I've finished this guy up for today, I'm going to start painting. Yeah, I'm going to start painting the crews. I'm really excited about that. We can get them done and get them finished. Get to working on getting the board finished. That way we can start having some really solid 1490 gameplay videos. Haha, you thought you'd get away, but you didn't. I'm too fast, too slick. So I've got a little puddle of super glue on my desk. I'm gonna use it. Get out of here. Wax pencil, come on. Help me. Wax pencil, help me. Alrighty. How's everybody's mornings going? I woke up this morning and I was like, man, I really want to go back to sleep. But I couldn't. So these are essentially, thank you, you rolled right in there. Now that is a happy little accident, I tell you what. Oh boy. Right there. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's good. Ooh, that's good. I'm loving it. Ba-da-da-da-da. I'm bucking it. Bucketing it. Bucket troll coming to your house. Can I sell you some stuff I've got in my bucket? You got some nails in your legs? Probably. But I don't know where. Definitely the wrists. Gotta have some nails. Arms. I don't know if he's gonna have any in his face, but now that I'm thinking about it, the crown of nails is pretty fun. Nah, he's gonna have hair. But I gotta add some chest area there, so I'm gonna put some more little beads there. These are essentially gonna look like buboes, tumors, things along that line. Nothing you'd want. Everything you don't want, nothing you do. Unless. You're crazy. Something like that, maybe. Yeah, I kind of needed a little bit of distraction, I suppose. And that's why I'm working on this guy. I got pretty much done with the 1490 stuff, but I was still really wanting to build something, and I just had to get this idea out of my head. Because if I didn't, it would disappear. This super glue loves to be real messy. I don't love that it loves that. Yep. That's fun. What a happy boy. Oh. So, here's where things get a little crazy. We're going to take a bunch of different sized little beads, kind of sprinkle in here. Da-dum. Alrighty, and since these are not metal, we can use these horrible, horrible tweezers that just won't become demagnetized no matter what I do. What a happy boy. So happy. And while I'm at it, we're going to go over here to our Brita filter number 3. Pro tip, always sort your Brita filter. There we go. Look at you. You are ready to go to the ball, my friend. Will they fix me there? Maybe. Yeah. This guy, I really wanted to make a very like, one of those sad Dark Souls kind of characters that are so prevalent in those games, where you're just like, man, that guy's really tragic. I don't really want to fight him. You gotta, though, because he's upset with you. He thinks you're here for the bucket. Like Sif. Everybody's favorite part of Dark Souls 1. That is a really sad part of Dark Souls 1. I don't like that. I don't enjoy it. It's a great storytelling. Masterful. But it's real feel bad. Makes you feel. I guess that's it. It's not that I like fucked up stuff or really dark things. I like things that make me feel anything. I think good art does that. I like that. So yeah, a lot of these little spots might get covered up. The ones I just put on there. So I'm going to scooch them around. No, I'm not, because they're stuck now. Alrighty, that works too. We'll make it work. Probably going to use some PVA. Just a lot of PVA on there. Yeah. Now you. Me and these tweezers, y'all. They are gunning for me. They just constantly want to go in my lap, like sharp point down. I'm not about it. Alrighty. There you go. Wow. Wow. Look at you, my boy, my boy. Oh my goodness. You don't need to be fixed. You're perfect as you are. Even with your feathers? Shout out to the Maniac. I was never a wrestling fan, but hoo boy. The episode of Always Sunny where the character of the Maniac, who is played by Roddy Piper, is wonderful. Just a very good archetype of a character. So, I never talked about the stuff with Wretched, or the kind of things that the Child Inverted will tell you to do. So, essentially, the way that works is throughout the campaign, the little story, there are times in which Krator will use the thrice stamped quill of Balgar to commune with the child inverted and find out what it wants you to do. And that is done by rolling on a table. It's a D20 table that essentially dictates the demands of the child inverted. They all typically have to do with concepts relating to the overall theme of like what kind of demon and entity it is. I'm really happy with it. But one of them specifically moves the story along, and that is they are coming. And that is the two-headed basilisks, the Inquisition of the two-headed basilisks, begin their auto-da-fe, which an auto-da-fe is Spanish. It is an act of faith. And it is pretty much, it's the concept comes straight from the Spanish Inquisition kind of stuff, but going out and doing horrible, horrible things to like prove like faith in God. That's where like, you know, flagellants, like a whole lot of that imagery is very much in that vein. Mortifying the flesh to strengthen the mind, that kind of stuff. Really horrifying stuff. And that is the easiest way to give gifts, is if you can pin down where the Inquisition is going to be, you will know where they are, so you can start to give them toys from the child inverted. Typically things that like, oh yeah, this is going to be helpful, we can definitely use this, and it's like, man, you really shouldn't have even touched that, you have donked up. But yeah, there's a lot of different little hooks, little adventures that essentially have you moving around the dying world, looking for different things, different items to collect. Also, one of them is a child is soon to be born, in which you have to go and find, that is one of the key points, is finding one of the future inquisitors of the two-headed basilisks. There is a very specific manner in which they are born into the world, and it is grisly as hell. So that's something that's always been one of the first things that I came up with whenever I first read the rule book. Was I just was obsessed with like fleshing out the Inquisition, because at the time I'd just been doing nothing but working on like Dark Heresy stuff, so I was already in that vibe. I don't think I ever finished talking about Abrupso. I didn't. The reason that Abrupso sucks is it was mid-terraform, and then it had to stop, which means that the world never finished being fully made. So in Abrupso, there is it's like clockwork, because it's scheduled. The rain that the Mechanicum stimulated and made happen to develop the world is set on a timer, so it constantly, like, they've begun to worship the tone. You know, hey, when the bell tones, it's like almost like it's time to go to church. And that's the character, the horrifying character that I made for the Visterian gang, that's kind of hunched over, very clearly female, with awful looking face wrapped in barbed wire, holding a really gnarly looking hatchet. That is the first character or person, inhabitant of the planet, that like our group came in contact with. They hear the bells, it starts to rain, they're like, what the hell? And they're running towards this little, straight up like Resident Evil 4 style, like little village. And as soon as they get out towards the gate, they run across a group beating to death another cultist, like out in like the streets, and pretty much just they kind of turn to look at the party, and that's the model that I made, is that horrifying, gore-soaked cultist wrapped in barbed wire, which also, again, it's, you know, all that kind of ties into the deity that I made, which is really is overarching themes of a lot of my work. Kind of bleeds into everything I touch. Not always, but it fits my vibe that I typically want to add to games. It definitely will find a home in Trench Crusade, that's for sure. and I'm very excited to work on stuff for that. As a god of spite, though, I don't know what. I guess wrath. It's closest to wrath. But not wrath how you typically think of it. You would think lust, though, by looking at a lot of its models. Alrighty. I have just yapped and yapped and yapped. Hopefully this has not just been boring for everybody. Sometimes I just get in my head and start talking. But yeah, Ripso. It's really bad. We lost a lot of people in our party on that planet. One of them died by getting bonked. It was fucking rad as hell, though. I will say this. The dude literally, he died, but he saved the rest of the crew. They were on this little raft. They've managed to climb aboard a raft after like a dam broke. And another Inquisitor's party is like, I can't stress this enough. My Dark Heresy games, like I am the GM that does not, like, it's like, yep, smash the Beatles. The 40k universe is very cruel and uncaring, and I try to, in the things that I do, I try to make sure that the real horror of that is always seen. So while they're, running from these horrible, insane cultists that, like, clearly are up to just madness, a gunship is like tailing them, trying to kill them from another Inquisitor's band. And I don't remember his name, but our buddy Jeffrey's character was a sniper, and he was like, I want to shoot the pilot. And I was like, that is going to be so hard. But he rolled a 2. Like, it's a D100, and he rolled a 2. And we were just like, yeah, you did it, man. And like, with all that happening, like when it wrecked, like, he shot the pilot, the thing crashes, but he ends up getting bonked and pretty much knocked unconscious, falls off. So while everyone else is like pulling themselves up onto the raft, he just kind of drowned. He drowned in the quagmire. And that, I was like, dude, we can roll some stuff. He was like, no, that's a good ending for this character. He was like, that's gnarly as hell. But yeah, which is something that I've always enjoyed about my game group. When something happens, they are very, very much like the dice. If the dice are decided to roll like this, they're like, I like that, letting fate take the wheel. Yeah. Which, that's also a good lesson. So the whole thing was that he was actually, the reason that I think he was partly okay with that is he had a character that he had been playing for a long time. And I was just like, I wanted to make sure that that's the kind of character you want to play. Do you want to make another one? Like, and try to do that for a little bit? But the idea of wanting to just be a sniper and mainly hang back and watch everything, that does not sound like a kind of character that I would like to play, but it's just like, man, that's the kind of character he likes to play. Different people like different things out of tabletop gaming. Some people are definitely drawn more to the story and like imagination. Others genuinely just, they like the math side and preparing and like kind of gaming it, which is totally fine. However, I think it really just depends on the overall vibe, because yeah, that same person also loves being like, nah, I'm going to be a pilot. I don't care if I ever fly. I love the character Midas Betancourt, one of my favorite characters. I want to make a character like that. And it's just like, that's rad. My character's name was Grox. He was a mutant, and by that I mean he had gigantism. But it's 40k, so you got gigantism, you're a mutant. Might as well have a tentacle. But yeah, he was literally just a giant, insanely strong dude. And his weapons were his fists. But he would rip people limb from limb. But he was as big as a Grox. So that's where the name Grox came from. He was fun character. Also died on a Bripso. A lot of us died on the Brip, so. I actually sculpted Grox, and I sculpted the Inquisitor of the party, and they are with Adam of Between the Bolter and Me. Those were some of the very first models that I was working on over on the ammo bunker when we met, and when they died and I no longer had like a reason to keep working on them, and we had moved on to I think a different game, I was just like, hey, would you like these? I'd love to see them painted in your style. He was like, yeah. And it's been a hot minute. We've all had many projects since then. Yeah, you can probably find pictures of that guy somewhere out there. Definitely on the ammo bunker. Those are some of my first, like, really in-depth conversions. That's good. So yeah, a couple of these spots I'm definitely going to have to do some green stuffing around. But I definitely wanted to have a lot of that Brita filter stuff in there as well for skin, because it definitely adds a lot of variety. And once PVA goes over top of there, once I do a couple more layers of things, the skin will have such a unique texture to it, and it will absolutely I guess the thing about, like, when I paint my stuff, the vast majority of my work is done with inks and washes, because of the texture. So I texture things so heavily that it naturally lends itself to that kind of painting very well. That and later weathering with like enamels and oils. But it just kind of depends typically also what my vibe is when I'm painting. Yeah, I like that. We're probably gonna fill this area in with some green stuff to make it a little different look. Good morning, Possum. How are you, my sweet? Just working on this old bucket troll. Oh, yep. Got to get down to the docks where I got to take this bucket. I don't know what he's doing down there, but he's got to get there. This boss is not going to handle not having the buckets when he needs them well. Or so this troll says. Yeah, tired. Aw, poor sleepy possum. I get it that though. I woke up today and I was like, man, I can totally get back in bed and just go to sleep. That sounds great right now. Oh, you silly troll. Look at you go. Now we got a lot of nails and a lot of beads on this guy now. And I made a bucket that he's going to be dragging along. Just going to have a nice little streak of mud on there. Probably going to add a few more. Scrape up that bucket a little bit. I'm just trying to think of where all I want to have large lumps. Anything to really kind of get the overall shape down. Typically the spots that are going to have like all those little beads, that's going to be not covered. I'm doing that to kind of map out where I want the texture. But I definitely envisioned this guy with a very large growth, like on his arm. Almost like it's just too much. Again, like I get tying it to the betas. Betas influence a lot what I do, just the body horror that I have unfortunately had to see with you know, tumors and that kind of stuff. So that definitely has an impact into my art by trying to show it here. I'm thinking I'm going to go in with epoxy sculpt to smooth a couple of these spots where the beads clearly look like beads to make them look more like a lump underneath the skin. So yeah, that's definitely going to be on the list. The rest of his arms, though, I don't think he would put nails. I'm thinking the idea of the hands and the elbows. Not elbows, but wrists. Definitely going to be some of his legs. Maybe around his calf. Need to bulk that up. Yeah. Butt cheeks become back rolls. Back rolls. Back rolls. Okay. Yeah, I've got to, I guess, write up a document as far as how I'm going to do commissions. So I'm opening those up. I'm very anxious about the amount of people that are going to be like, I'd like to talk to you about that today. Because a lot of people have asked me before, and I've said no. For like a decade and a half, if not longer. So there's a pretty big backlog of people that are like, oh, yep. And I don't want to not be able to do enough to like, oh yeah, I'll make you one too. But I'm also just like, man, I know I only have so much time and I gotta work on other stuff. So it's gonna be difficult sorting through it, figuring out which one's like, yep, I can do that right now. That's good, that's good. His head needs a couple little beads on the back there, maybe. I do like that. Definitely gonna have that like joined. Maybe even do that right now. Probably a bigger bead. Bigger bead. Well, how big of a bead? Like this big of a bead. Called it. That's too big of a bead. This big of a bead? Yeah, that's it. There you go, my sweet little bucket troll. Yeah, just like that. Definitely covering up a little bit. Just like that. And we'll probably grab a smaller bead. Push that down in there. And right there. So right now I'm just putting a bunch of beads on his back. Beading it up. Bedazzling, as they say. It's Friday, Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. I'm liking that. Here? Nah, other side. Yeah, right there. You just want to be up there. Come on. Don't be difficult. That's good. That hair is not good. Yeah. That's gonna be so awful. So fleshy. There's definitely gonna be strap that is going to go into or over his shoulder to hold up his like armor plates is definitely going to be like in the flesh. Like it's definitely kind of grown into it. That is awful looking. Looks good on you though, my friend. You make it look good. Pulling it off. Yeah, hopefully this has been a good stream. I'm always worried like, oh man, what did I talk about? So I'm still waking up. Talked about a lot of World War I stuff. No! Well, it fell in the bucket, so that was good. Caught that one too. Okay, seriously though. Get in the hole. Yeah. There we go. That is, yeah, that's gonna be gnarly. So the strap that's gonna hold his armor up kind of goes about here-ish. Up there into the flesh. That arm, yeah, oh boy. Like that looks rough, but then when you get around the back, you're like, that is gnarly. Looks like a lot of growth. What are you gonna fill the bucket with? So I think parts. I had these two hands in there and I was looking at them and they look awful. Like really disturbing. Like, yep. I was thinking that he would be carting around. Kelly made the suggestion that he should be carting around parts to fix himself. And after that, I just can't imagine him doing anything other than like encountering this awful, like very sad kind of like creature that you're just also like, that is horrifying. Looks like fix me. Like, and it's just like, oh yeah, he's just been trying to fix himself. But like due to trolls, like regrowth and whatnot, regenerating. The idea of like a self-aware troll trying to like get back to his former state is utterly horrifying. And like a very disturbing like concept of like, oh yeah, he's got parts to fix himself in a bucket. And that's why he's called the bucket troll. It is a very frightening, I think, idea. I liked it. I'm excited to do more on that face. That's going to be real good. Definitely need to shave that jowl a little bit though right there. I'm hoping I can get my files for 1490 Doom figured out and sorted so I can start printing the castle, because I really want to play through the Fall of Rothburg, and I think that will be much easier to do with when I have that stuff than trying to figure out how to do it on my board. Yeah, that's better. Maybe this as well. This bucket's very jingly. Jingly bucket. He's a hero. Lollipoop deck. Kind of has a Lollipoop deck kind of vibe now that I'm like seeing it. Now I can't unsee it. Which is the guy from Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack. He tells jokes, and every joke's punchline is a Lollipoop deck. That's my name, Lolly Poop Deck. But he's just a guy. He just has a bucket. I think he has 2 buckets. Always carrying 2 buckets. Love a good flapjack. Now, as far as actual foods, I don't know if I've ever been like, yep, that's a flapjack and not a pancake. I think they're the same thing. Maybe it's just location of where you're from. Kind of like a soda and a pop. Or a Coke. Everything is just a Coke. Mm-hmm. Oh, my little bucket troll friend, I'm so happy. We're going to do great things together, you and I. But first you need some cheeks, because your butt is all sorts of just like, whack. They're going to be right about there-ish. That's where a troll butt is, for sure. Yeah, I think having hands in the bucket's going to be really good. Hands, limbs. I was playing around with the original feet, kind of having them in there as well. Just the idea of just a bunch of other parts that may or may not fit, and he is just doing his best. He's just doing his best. He's just trying to like, this doesn't seem right. Maybe if I do a little surgery. Little minor surgery. But yeah, I think I'm at a good stopping point for today. Thank you guys for hanging out. If you enjoyed my rambling about World War I, I'm glad. If you did not, I'm sorry. But that's a thing that's probably going to happen again. I will get distracted and probably start just ranting about facts from World War I from time to time. I do that. Especially if we're going to be talking about Trench Crusade. But I'm so excited to do that. I can't wait to get to Trench Crusade. This was just I needed to get this out of my head, and I felt like making something grisly for a little bit. So I was like, I got to make that bucket troll. I'm still in a creating mood as opposed to a painting mood, but I got to get painted on those guys. And then I'm going to post something about commissions as far as working out, listing the pricing. I think my idea of doing it like hourly, like by day, is probably the most logical one. Oh no, you're good. Thank you always for being here, everyone. Tim, Atri, Possum, of course, Sam, as well as Shankly. Thank you guys so much, and anyone else also joining us. Thank you for being here. It really always means the world to me. I love having people like interested in what I do, and I'd like to help anyone who has any questions. About, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? Like. I love doing it. This is my favorite thing in the world. So the only thing like after that, it's just like, yeah, sharing that with other people it's wonderful. So I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for your time. Again, it's your most valuable commodity, or resource. That's not commodity. Yeah, be good to yourselves and to each other. Take care and sit pretty. I will see you guys later. Bye, friends.